my name's Trevor, but before this was Texas Street Slayers, we did a 5-1 crew, which was in Austin, because we ride both San Antonio and Austin, and I live in the middle of that, so it's like same distance either way pretty much. And well, they already had a crew out there that was started, and they were like, a lot of the older folk were running it. Pretty much me and Adrian were really the ones starting the rides and doing lot days. They were kind of getting out of it, and we had to talk with them, and so we just ended up doing it ourselves. And then Adrian stopped riding, and honestly Austin got really, really dangerous to ride in. It wasn't safe and it wasn't fun anymore, so we just stopped riding there. So then it ended up just being me pretty much, so I just changed it, and I made a shirt that said Texas Street Slayers on the back. And then when all our like New Braunfels guys, San Antonio guys kind of came back together and was like, well, let's do this here rather than Austin, we changed it to Texas Street Slayers. We all kind of voted on it and agreed on it, and so then we just kept it as that. And I've found that like simplicity is key, I guess, so I just kept it as that. We're already doing that. Everybody liked that shirt. The Houston ride in ESR, the whole front of the group was just ESR and Texas Street Slayers shirts, so I thought that was really, really cool. And that's really the only reason I do it, is just to see people wear it. I pretty much lose money constantly doing this. Now it's like, damn, I gotta spend money to make more shirts. It's not fun, but
to make money, you gotta spend money, but sometimes you're spending more money than what you're making.
Yeah, and I don't look at it as like a brand or like a business, or like, I mean, I guess it's a brand, but like I don't look at it as like something that I'm gonna make money off of or like build a shop out of. That'd be cool one day, if we had like a repair shop, dealership, something like that. But then I'll try not to tie the lines between becoming a motorcycle club, because I don't want it to be that, and that's not what it is. I don't want to pay dues, and I don't want to deal with any clubs. I respect them, yeah. Like I've heard in Texas, it's, if you become a club, you've got to, as the vice president or president, you got to go to meetings with all the other local Texas clubs and all that, and we're just here to ride, have fun. Out here, there'll be a lot of kids here. We always want kids to come ride. I mean, that's how you start, having people like older than you teach you, and then you being around it. And I just don't like to bring my kids a lot because I'm afraid it's going to be unsafe. Like, they're riding out. So I'll bring them on like slower days, on a day like this, I wouldn't if there's a lot of people coming. I've had a day one time we were at a lot, I think in Austin or Houston, and I was doing circle wheelies like real slow up by the vehicles, like kind of like coming into here, like right where we are, and then coming out, like just getting real close to everything. And a kid came out of nowhere, and as my bike was like, as I was turning, he was running underneath, and I tried to like slow it down and stop because I saw him. I could have sworn that wheel was like, and then it dropped, and it's like, luckily his dad saw it all and was like, what are you doing? I don't want to piss anyone off or hurt anyone either, so it's like, I don't want my kids to get hurt, but they love to ride. They love to come out, and like my daughter already is like standing on the seat on her bike and jumping around, so that's cool.
How old were you when you started?
Riding or stunt riding?
Both.
Riding 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there, like real young. I had a little Suzuki 110, and then I did actually do a couple races, like little amateur things, nothing for medals or anything. It was more like a local thing where anybody who please just sign up type of deal. There's not very many riders.
Yeah.
And that was fun. I never really got big with that. I stopped riding, I want to say like around middle school till it's like 18, 20, something like that. And then I bought a Gixxer 600. All noobs get Gixxers first. And then, well, I guess I bought the Grom and then this bike. And then I think, so I don't know, I think that's a little off. I would have said I've only been stunt riding for like 4 or 5 years, but I've been watching stunt riding videos forever. So it's like I've seen what it is. I've known about it. I've always wanted to do it. I just was either scared to or just never had a bike or whatever. And so.
Well, what was the deciding factor?
So one of my buddies actually, he bought a Grom, and so I would put around on his bike and he would ride it, and he started doing wheelies and like kind of got me back into that. Yeah. I went and bought a Grom and then just started building it from there. So, which is kind of funny because it's like the one person who got me back into it is the one person that he had Harleys, but like I didn't expect him to even know about that side of like riding, like, like stunt community and stuff like that. So that was interesting. I only really ride like once a week if I can, not even every week, so, but there are like big rides like Bless the Blocks, which is Houston, ESR is Houston, Kill the Borders, El Paso, Beat the Heat is Arizona. I try to go to those as much as I can. Like if you look at Texas and you have those bordering states and like all the way around, I guess, any ride past that, you know, like you'll probably never see some of those riders again unless they come all the way to your state. And it's fun to go to those rides. Those are badass rides, but when you go to all the local Texas rides, Texas is so big that there's a whole community in every city that is like the same community in, say, California or like whatever state, you know, 5 hours, 2 hours, whatever it is, you're still in Texas. You don't, you know, it seems, and it's cool. That's why I made it Texas Street Slayers, is because Texas is so big. Everyone has big Texas pride. And all these people I see are all from Texas, even if they're 8 hours, 9 hours away, you know? So it's, and then like say I go to El Paso, that's close to New Mexico and Arizona. So then all those people come to El Paso. And so it's like you kind of see these people a lot more often. So then it becomes, I don't want to go there for the views or to ride in those streets. It's like, I got to go see my friends, you know? And that's really why I go to those big rides now, is because they're like family, extended family or friends, the same passion, they ride the same bikes, you know, we have the same skill, all the same things, you know. The only ride I've traveled out of Texas for was Arizona. I haven't gone anywhere else. I want to though. I want to hit Chicago and then Florida as well. Dade, or what's Broward County, it's a ride called Broward on Top. I think it's like an all-week ride. And it's like pretty much an all-day, all-week ride. Like everyone, and the cool thing about those rides, which is different than these like Texas rides, is like, you know, you may get a couple hundred people or whatever, or maybe only 100 in Texas, and depending on which ride. Whereas if you go, say, Florida or Chicago, you'll have thousands, like 3,000 riders, you know, and it's like, it's a different type of riding where it's more chaotic. So it's almost like you play your game, whether it's like, you know, you want to ride some with like 100 people and you know everybody and everyone knows how you ride, and it's safe because like if I'm in front of you, you know, like say I drop back real slow or I'm about to scrape and it, you know, the speed changes and you're not going to run into the back of me. Whereas you go out there, everybody's drinking or not on their own, whatever. They're just not paying attention. They're in their own world. They're scattered by thousands of other people. It's just something's always going on. You got to be on your toes, and it's like, it's unsafe really, but it's also like you got to play that risk game, you know. So I'm not too stressed about whether or not I hit those or not, but I would want to at least once, you know. Yeah, I mean, I've wrecked the Grom, I've wrecked this bike, I've wrecked my Gixxer. Luckily, nothing too bad. The worst I ever had is I pulled, I think like a hamstring or something in here. I couldn't walk for like 2 weeks, but other than that, you know, I haven't had anything too bad, but that's why also I don't stress about like progression. I don't stress about learning that new trick every time you come out, which I used to be kind of like that. I would always want to try to progress, which, you know, you still got to work on things and practice, but at the same time, you know, if I break my foot or if I hurt myself, my wife doesn't work. She's a stay-at-home mom. Now what? You pushing it and knowing your limits, sometimes pushing it gets you that next trick or gets you that next comfortability level to where like, oh, I can do that. Okay, oh, now I know how that feels. Right, and you got to have both of those. And another thing too is I see it as like, I don't plan on stopping riding ever, you know? So it's like, I know in 10 or 15 years, I'll probably have some of the stuff done that I want to do. I don't need it right now. All your friends are together, you know, it's like that break from life. You're hanging out with everybody. You get to just enjoy, you know, you don't have to worry about, oh, he's here, like he can do this and I can't. Like that's stupid. And then
they're learning off each other.
yeah, and it's fun to have a lot of times people will do like wheelie battles where like two people will pop it up at the same time, and then, you know, they're kind of going back and forth, who can hold it the longest, who, you know, doing different tricks, and that's fun, you know, but sometimes people will get a little crazy and like get in front of them, drop back, slow it down real slow, and then it's like they wreck or they have to drop it too, you know, and all of that can be fun. It's just, you know, do it with people you can trust so they don't freaking run you off the road, you know, or whatever. But if I see someone doing something and severely unsafe, I usually will try to go say something, you know, because especially if they're not on a Grom, they're on a big bike, you know, it can go hard, you fall harder, you know, it's going to be worse, or it could be. In reality, what should happen actually is that if somebody wants to learn something, go ask somebody, and if you're that person that is going to explain it to them, give them all the goodies, because it's like, you know, it's not like we're making money off this. It's nothing. It's like, and if anything, you helping another rider out only makes that rider safer. Depending on where you are, I would say it's definitely illegal or a gray area. I look at it as like it's about respect, you know? If I'm riding a wheelie, a cop comes by, put it down. You know, like they obviously have their job to do. We're obviously terrorizing the streets to some extent. And, you know, And it's hard too because there's so many people. When you have so many people riding, you can't control everybody, and that's why it's sometimes cool to go to these little rides because everybody's on the same mindset. Everybody knows like we're going or where to pull, where to stop, when to stop, slow it down. Someone wrecks, everyone's there and cares about that person or knows them. Like we have permission to be here at this lot, and so when you ride, like most lots you'll ride, either they have permission or they don't. If they don't, really, it's up to the cop's discretion whether they want to kick you out or not. We don't really have any claim to be able to stay here unless you have permission. But it's also a little bit of a gray area for lots because it's a private property. And unless they can get a hold of the owner and, or a manager, someone that have authority, which these places, good luck. Most of these places are funded from California or Florida or any other state, New York. They just buy land to lease out. It's an investment, So they can't really get a hold of anybody. Usually, like, if you go talk to the cops, like, especially here, it's a smaller town, all of the cops, I've seen multiple of the same cops out here, and they're like, oh, we just got a sound, or what is it called, a noise complaint, you're good, just, and if they show up and we're, like, breaking windows, they're not going to act the same. Yeah. So then it's like, we respect the property. Like, if you notice, you can tell there's none of our trash out here. It's like from the business, and then I'll always pick up trash when I leave, stuff like that, even if other people don't, And it's also just kind of like policing each other, just making sure everybody respects the place. Some lots you'll see are solid black from burnouts. A lot of these, you can even look out there, they're cars. They're not even bikes. Yeah, we have some bikes. I can't control everybody. And it's not up to me or anybody else that goes to the lot to really be in charge, but it's also like a group effort. Like, hey, chill. Like, you've been doing a burnout long enough. Like, it's all black. Now, on the street, it's obviously illegal, but it's, like here I wouldn't ride. Certain cities you can't ride, especially like small cities, country cities. There's the whole police force is bored. They're gonna come out, San Antonio, Austin, Houston, Dallas, like they've got a bigger problem than us doing wheelies. Policing yourself, same with the streets from the lot. If you're in the streets, and people are kicking car doors and flipping people off and, doing just stuff that, riding on the sidewalk and like burning up somebody's like front business doorstep. Yeah, just being a hooligan, then it's like, obviously you do that every day for weeks on end, the cops are gonna be like, all right, we've had enough. And they're gonna mess with us. Whereas like, that happens a couple of times when y'all get to the gas station and be like, dude, this is our city. We're trying to ride here. We ride here every day, have no problems. We've talked to the cops a million times. Please just chill, and then we're fine, But if, people cause a ruckus, then it's going to get burnt. And that's not really what happened in Austin. Things like that can happen, and then that'll, become the case. Just being respectful of all of that is really what plays. So it's always a gamble. It's always something that you gotta take as you go, So I'd say gray area, in my opinion. One of my buddies actually just started a clothing company, and I really like the name. It's called Harmless Crimes. So it's like, oh, you're committing a crime, but it's like, it's technically harmless to everyone, So it kind of plays on words, but it's like, a lot of people call it a victimless crime, a harmless crime. I'm the only victim if I'm riding properly in a pack doing wheelies. If I'm cutting through traffic, like actual cars, like, yeah, I could drop it on a car, they could swerve into a brick wall, anything could happen. Different cities have different styles and different ways they ride and things they do, so it's like, you gotta play the game, There's so many cities that are good where it's like, the cops wave at us, they're like, yeah, they're giving us thumbs up, they see us all the time. There's some cities where they will pull a gun on you and kick you off your bike, try to kill you, run you over, everything. So yeah, that's why I don't ride in Dallas anymore. I've seen people really like start wheeling and in like a week they're doing shit that I can't do. And I'm like, what the hell? And then I see people that it took them like 2 years, and it doesn't matter as long as you're not, hurting yourself every day. Maybe buy like, there's a good chest protector you can get, knee pads, all that, I feel like a lot of people don't like wearing that stuff because they like want to be cool, this and that. But then you look at the people that are like doing like really crazy tricks, they're wearing all that stuff. And it's not always because when they fall, it's, these tanks are like, it's solid steel or whatever. And your knees get beat up and, you actually might hit your stomach on like this lip and, that saves the game, so. And there's obviously a couple mods that make it easier. So look into that, like clutch levers, clutch springs, different gearing for your bike. Think about all that, do all that, and then just go out and ride.